Hello and a warm welcome. We are broadcasting live from Washington DC, and to get a sense of the historical context in Prime Minister Narendra Modi's visit to DC, his summit meetings with President Biden, we're joined at the World War I Memorial by some very sharp think tankers, academic voices, people who study India-America relations very, very closely. So welcome to all my guests. I just want to start by introducing them. I'll start from the left. So Michael Kugelman joins us. He is the director of South Asia Institute at the Wilson Center. We've had you on many of our shows, so it's great to see you in person, Michael. Welcome. Flanking him is Daniel Marquis, senior advisor, South Asia at the U.S. Institute of Peace and senior fellow at the CSIS Foreign Policy Institute. Welcome. Thank you. On my right is a man who is very actively involved with what's happening in India in many of the states. Richard Rossow joins us, senior advisor, holds the chair in US-India Policy Studies at the Center for Strategic and International Studies. Thank you very much, sir. Welcome. Tanvi Madan back with us. Tanvi, thank you so much for taking out time and joining us early in the morning. Senior fellow at the Brookings Institute. She's tracked India, America, China very closely. And for a political perspective, we have Professor Irfan Nuruddin, Professor of Indian Politics at Georgetown University. Thank you all so much. It's a bit windy and wet, but I guess this is DC and you're all used to this weather. So
a little cooler than we usually have this time of year.
But it's fantastic to have you with us. Richard Rossow, I want to start by asking you about the historical significance of what we're seeing, because a lot of people wondering, is this just hype? Is the media and the government just trying to blow this out of proportion because they've got an election coming up? Or are we truly seeing something which is historic, which will be spoken of many years from now?
Well, you see an acceleration. India, of course, faces tremendous challenges from China across a range of domains. The United States looks at those challenges as well, and we find that as an area for cooperation. But also, India just surpassed China as the most populous nation, relatively high per capita economic growth rate right now. So companies looking at it excitedly as well. So things that were almost impossible a few years ago on technology transfer, defense cooperation are happening a lot faster, and these summits help make sure that they move. It really sharpens the mind and gets people active behind the scenes.
Tanvi Madan, we saw at the White House and through this visit, the Biden administration seems to have really rolled out the red carpet. The Economist described it as the world's biggest transaction. Is this really seen as a transactional relationship, or are you seeing something transformative in terms of the relationship between India and the US?
I think, you do see that this is a strategic relationship. If you look at both the joint statement and the fact sheet, which I think people should, because you really get the details, there's definitely a strategic aspect driving this. And you see it in the sense that the focus is on security and prosperity as objectives, but doing that through building resilience through technology and talent development. So as I think President Biden put it well, where he said this is about unlocking a shared future, the Prime Minister used the term a new dawn. But I actually think people should stop making such a big fuss about transactionalism. It is good to have a certain amount of transactionalism. To me, that suggests both sides are getting something out of the relationship. It is mutually beneficial, which is the case. So I don't think, people should say, oh, this is transactional. In every relationship, there's a certain amount of transactionalism. That's normal. That's good. That's actually natural.
Professor Nuruddin, the Biden administration faced some pushback from within the Democrat camp on issues of human rights in India. We saw that question being raised in the press conference yesterday. Do you think that issue is adequately settled, or do you think this is something which will keep festering in a way that it puts some pressure on the government to taper its actions accordingly?
I don't think it will taper the actions, but I don't think the question is settled. And it's up to India to decide how that question gets asked and answered in the coming years. If there are unfortunate incidents at home, the question will continue to arise over here. You can't both be in the limelight, get the red carpet rolled out, and expect there not to be the attention even on the negative things. So the best case scenario over here is that India makes it a non-issue, that the election in 2024, as we would all expect, is free and fair, that the rhetoric that surrounds the election is civil and competitive, messy, right, but nothing that crosses the lines. And then I think the issue goes away. For some people, of course, democracy and human rights, including for Mr. Biden, is supposed to be a defining issue of the foreign policy. As long as that rhetoric is key in Washington, D.C., India should expect for there to be scrutiny, but hopefully it will continue to pass that test with flying colors.
No, but the Prime Minister took those questions head on, and I think even in his address to the US Congress and in that press conference, Tanvi, he basically kept referring to democracy being the answer, that this is a democratic government, we're answerable to the constitution, and suggesting that there is no way in which anything that's written in the constitution will be violated, and reaffirming his commitment publicly to trying to ensure that India lives up to all constitutionally enshrined values.
Well, in India has regularly invoked democracy. You saw this even in the Prime Minister's departure statement, where he talked about shared values of diversity, democracy and freedom. But that's also why you are going to hear people then hold India to that standard, because India holds itself to that standard. And so when the Prime Minister said at the press conference that, you know, where there is no human rights, there is no democracy, you will hear that being invoked by others. I think there's another aspect as well, right? This democracy isn't just a values thing here. It is about today, about the contrast, that it is about strategy. And, you know, it was for some reason controversial, but President Obama's remarks yesterday, it's actually a bit of a no-brainer, right? Both the US and India should care that each country should not be so riven with internal differences that you focus internally and aren't able to play that strategic role. Second, if the theory of the case on the economic and technological side is we can be trusted partners, hint, hint, China is not. What makes India different? It's open, it's transparent, it follows the rules of the road. So democracy in its various aspects is something that both countries have invoked, and both countries will be held up to in terms of that standard.